My name is Matteo Moyer from Norristown, Pennsylvania. We are in Santa Cruz, California. Good luck tattoo. Hitting the 10-year mark to me was more just a milestone to see if what I'm doing is on the path of what other tattooers have done before me. I'm hoping that people are receptive to what I'm doing, like to honor the craft itself. First time I got tattooed was probably 15, 16. I started getting tattooed in houses, so honestly, probably not the greatest experiences in a professional setting, but definitely started my love for tattooing right then and there at a very young age. I think the first time I really started to see tattoos and get interested in them was probably from family members with tattoos, skate videos. No, I didn't really fall in love with it until I was older and, was like, oh, okay, this is what it is. I think a lot of people, when they first start getting tattooed, they don't really know what the culture surrounding tattooing is, and how would anyone know? You're not included, and no one's included into it until you really get to sit down with an artist or sit down with, some people that are in the industry. The way my style has evolved over the past decade has continued to stay in American traditional sense of style. When I started tattooing, I was taught by a new school artist by the name of Taylor Mills. But when I first started doing traditional, everything had color behind it. Everything had blues behind it, this color burst thing going on. And I think over time, I just kind of simplified things more and more. One line weight, a handful of colors. The one thing I did always take from that though is I continue to put pink in all my tattoos. To this day, I think it's still if I can find a little spot for pink in a tattoo, it's yeah, it's totally going in there. I don't think there is any time that I've ever thought about quitting tattooing. There has been times where I've thought about painting more and trying to deal less with everything that surrounds tattooing that's outside of my control. The best thing that I've done is just kind of align myself with other artists that I feel are doing similar things. Artists that I'm resonating with, friends that, it's so much deeper than Instagram. I think nowadays everything is so online based, whether it's the tattoo industry or the food industry, anything. Everything is so online. Some of my favorite artists are the people who post once a month, but I still have a line of connection with through text or something like that. One piece of advice I would tell myself, I'd probably tell myself to let things go. I feel like it's so easy to compare yourself to others. Fuck, dude, it's one of those things where I could say it now, but tomorrow I'm gonna be on Instagram or on somewhere comparing myself to someone else. So it's really easy to be oh, just stay in your lane, don't think about it. But the reality of it is it really doesn't fucking matter. None of it matters. If what you're doing you resonate with, I think that everything else is so trivial at the end of the day. I recently had an art exhibition for myself for my 10-year anniversary of tattooing. I'm good friends with the owners. I started tattooing them maybe 2020, 2021. It was something that we talked about over the course of, a few years. To reiterate on my last statement, was always really conscious of how would this be received? Is this something that other people are gonna resonate with? Is this gonna be something that, people are gonna be oh, why did he do that? It just seemed like it was the right time. Having 10 years in the industry felt like it was a milestone marker for, if I was to do this in another 10 years, I could look back on it and be okay, well, that's what I did 10 years ago. This is what I'm doing now, 20 years from now. 10 years ago, I was heavily inspired by other traditional tattooers. I think today, I try to find what I would consider ground zero for reference. Instead of referencing the same skull drawn by this person that you look up to, you're referencing the skull that they referenced. And sometimes you can find that through old advertisements. Sometimes I watch a lot of History Channel. I'm sitting there, take pictures of my screen with my cell phone, and I'm oh, that looks great. That would make a great tattoo. Walking around the community, seeing something, you're that could work. You could turn that into a tattoo. Where I think 10 years ago, it was more whatever I was seeing online was what I thought you're supposed to make. I didn't realize that everything around you, you could actually draw from and turn into a traditional tattoo. Tattoo I never get tired of doing would have to be just a fucking nice solid rose, anywhere on the body, it doesn't matter. The way I keep my creativity sharp over all these years is just continuing to read. Watching educational television is probably the best thing I could ever do for myself, to stay, in that learning section of like, whoa, dude, that's crazy, I feel like a lot of things too that keep me really inspired is find an interest in things that I typically wouldn't find interest in. Whether it's, learning about a different culture, a different religion, and just being like, whoa, dude, like taking like, oh, they did this color a certain way, or, this has this certain look to it that you can kind of encapsulate it, appreciate it, and, almost reinvent it in your own way. In the next 10 years, I hope I'm just doing the same thing I'm doing, to be completely honest. I hope that I don't stray too far from the formula. I think it works. I'd like to see myself nurturing the younger crew to want to, use coils, or, want to learn about certain things and that maybe is missed on other people. I think it's super important to, whether you want to start tattooing, and do a certain thing. I think that starting with a fundamental understanding of traditional tattooing, I think is the guideline. You can take it anywhere from there.
Oh, Teo, you deserve a Medal of Honor.
Yeah,
An hour, start to finish.
it was a little bit longer than that.
You started.
It had to have been
You started at 3 o'clock. It's 4:08. You did it in 67 minutes. That's like.
We had to have taken a break, right?
I did take a break, and that's including the break. No, I'm not joking. When I laid down on the table, it was 3 o'clock exactly.
Yeah, turbo tat, speed tat. It's like chess, speed chess, but for tattoos.
Yeah, it's super cool.